Hello everybody. Today is August 3rd and I'm currently at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Thank you to all the subscribers and thank you to the listeners. Anyway, Myrtle Beach is significant to me. It's an important part of my purging as far as letting go of the negative that I experienced within my illusion, because two people I believe are currently here in this state. And they are very prominent, significant people that have been in my life. One of them is the mother of my two eldest children. Her name is Janae. Well, her name's Kendall, but she chooses to go by Janae. And the other one is my oldest daughter. The reason why it's been a significant part of my life and why in the illusion it was a tremendous amount of negativity was because when I met Janae, it was in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Actually happens to be the next place that I'm going to. And I was in the Marine Corps, her husband was in the Marine Corps, and I was going through my first divorce. And we'll get to that in Jacksonville, North Carolina. But anyway, going through my first divorce, and I was in a vulnerable spot, and her and her husband were having issues where she wasn't necessarily being satisfied, so they had chose to have another person, in essence, enter in their marriage, and basically I was like a unicorn or the third person. And so what ended up transpiring is initially I wasn't cool with it. Everything in my heart said it was wrong. But then my illusion started thinking of, the lust, the naughty stuff, the things that I thought I could benefit, the positive in the illusion. And let me just tell you, if you are thinking about ever bringing another person into the bedroom within your relationship, I assure you, it's not going to work out like you think it is. Sooner or later, you're going to bring extreme negative between you and your significant other if you do this, one way or another. A lot of times, if it's the woman, she'll end up choosing the other man. And this was the scenario here. Janae and I ended up hooking up off on the sideline, if you will, because I wasn't willing to be part of that, but I was still willing to participate in, I don't know, I guess you could say the adultery or fornication or whatever, call it whatever you want. It's bad. We all know in our heart it's bad. And it evolved to the point where she decided that she wanted to be with me instead of him, and she ended up carrying my child. Well, even though she was carrying my child, she continued to cheat on her husband, cheat on me. And once I got out of the Marine Corps, I wanted to do the right thing for my child, because by this point my child was born, and I felt the healthiest thing I could do would be to move my child, Janae, and her son from her husband to Oregon to try to get them away from a military base, because I wanted to believe that the reason why things were the way they were is because we're around a military base. Because everybody knows there's a lot more lust and a lot more naughty activity that happens around a military base, to be honest. So we moved to Albany, Oregon. And unfortunately, the same activity kept taking place, the cheating and so on and so on. And I put up with it for about a year, but then I realized that it wasn't right for me to keep enabling, because it wasn't providing a healthy environment for my eldest daughter. And right about the time I was about ready to end the relationship and have my eldest daughter go with me, that's when she informed me that she was pregnant again. So that kept me around more. And then once my middle daughter was born, then 3 days later, ended up walking in on the man that I thought was my best friend, and her hooking up. But where I'm going with all of this isn't the trauma that happened to me or the negative that was cast onto me. The true trauma is what happened to my daughters. Because once I caught Janae having an affair with the man that was, supposedly my best friend, I said, I'm done. And I'm going for custody because this is not a healthy environment whatsoever to raise children in. That instantly triggered Janae's brain to see every single thing that had taken place to be my fault. That began a 8-year custody battle. Within that 8-year custody battle, Janae filed, I think it was 27 restraining orders against me that didn't stick, but it gave her the opportunity to punish me and have temporary custody over my children. Well, fortunately, my attorney that I had hired in the beginning saw that I was, she said that if she had ever met a father that should get custody of his children, I was the one. So I'm so thankful that I had her backing me, and I'm also thankful that I had an attorney that I was in a relationship with that made sure that I was always doing the right thing. Because for all you single parents out there, you know that's hard. You know that the hurt you feel that's happening from the other parent, and you know that other parent talking bad about you all the time. You have a tendency to want to set this score straight, but it's not right. Because the only ones who pay, or the only ones who it hurts, is our children. So through this 8-year custody battle, I went to every single visitation. I mean, if there was a Christmas concert at my daughter's school, I would go to it. And as soon as the concert over, I'd go out to the wall excited to see them and let them know I was proud of them. But they had been told ahead of time to turn their head away and not look at me, otherwise they would be punished when they got home. Other things that happened, like my middle daughter, one incident, I picked her up, super excited to see her, and as soon as we get going, she goes, "Daddy, Mommy says you're this." And imagine how my illusion felt. But fortunately, I was strong enough to just look at my middle daughter and say, "Hey, sweetie, that's not right. I know your mommy taught you that, but that's not right. And you know in your heart that's not right." Other things that happened, they would steal money from me that they could find when they were with me on my weekends. And they'd take it back to their mom because they thought she would be excited. But instead, she would use it as a mental game to get back to me, and she would make them bring it back to me and apologize to me. But yet she continually kept feeding them full of all this negativity, all this illusion, because she felt that if they believed her, then it was true. It was so bad, every single holiday, the police would show up at my house because Janae had made another false accusation, whether it be sexually towards my daughters or that I was physically abusing my daughters. Anything she could possibly come up with, she did it. To where finally I was like, "Hey, you guys, hook me up with a lie detector test. If I'm anything bad, let's prove it. Because if I'm anything bad, I shouldn't be around my children." Ultimately, that was a wise thing to do, because then ended up having a custody evaluation done, hired Oregon State head psychiatrist to evaluate both of us, in detail. And that brought to light the fact that Janae had a borderline personality disorder and that she was incapable of feeling any remorse for what she had done. It's just the truth. If there's that certain part in your personality that you're incapable of feeling guilty for what you did, or feeling love towards somebody and realizing that you're hurting people by continuing your pattern, it is what it is. Eventually, I ended up getting full custody thanks to, the attorney that I was dating at the time, and the fact that I was able to do the right thing for 8 years and not lose my shit. When I got full custody, the state also said that she should not be around the children. So what'd she do? She instantly moved to South Carolina, to here. And as soon as she got here, the state of South Carolina tried to take away custody of her son that she had between her and her husband. And they contacted me and asked me if I was willing to raise him. And instantly I was like, yes, but I told him, I said, "You do realize I'm not his father, right?" and they did not realize that. But once I got custody, in in essence 12 years that the girls were around me full time, I could still see resentment in them towards me. Even though, and the girls know this in their heart, even though I've never done anything to them that their mother filled their heads full of, trying to convince them of it. As a matter of fact, back in March, when everything came about and all the negative was coming down, my eldest, Alexis, she looked at me with tears bawling down her face, apologizing that she had viewed me that way because she knew that none of it was true. She even said that her fiance felt that I was the Messiah. You know, I can't tell anybody what I am. All I know, I'm just the person who's trying to get rid of all the negative in my brain, because all I want to do is love myself unconditionally, undeservingly, and love everybody else the same way. But unfortunately, by the time my eldest was 18 years old, almost 19, due to drama and due to repeated lies and so on, she had, let's say, burned up all her bridges in Oregon. So what'd she do? She moved straight to be with her mom in South Carolina. The illusion makes us want to hurt. But you hear of this happening so many times, that the custodial parent will do everything they can to love these children and protect them. But as soon as the children get a chance, they want to go to the other parent. It's not because the children don't love you. It's because the children are so full of the negative first that they feel that there's got to be a truth, you know, with the other parent. That there's no way this other parent doesn't love me properly, because our souls can't comprehend that. And our illusion always wants to think there's something better on the other side instead of appreciating the positive and the love that we have within front of us. So after Alexis came to Oregon and tried to, in essence, get me institutionalized by the legal mental health assessment, that, by the way, I passed, she then instantly ran back to South Carolina. And when she got there, she realized that while she was gone, her mother had contacted Children's Services and tried to get custody of her daughter. It didn't work. I mean, Alexis is a good parent. Sure, there might be other things going on, but she's still a good parent. And her fiance happens to be a police officer. So, from my understanding, it didn't even get any water. And I just want to say that, hey, you know, Janae, all the things that you've done, all the negative you've cast to me, all the damage that you've done to my daughters by filling their head with all the negativity, you know what? It just makes me feel more love for your soul, not for your illusion. Trust me, in my illusion, I don't have much positivity there. That's why I'm letting go of my illusion and only accepting the positive. And the positive that I got from Janae was 2 amazing daughters, especially once they wake up. And it also, all the negative Janae casts on me, it forced me to be as good of a parent as I could possibly be. In my opinion, that's amazing. But what I ask of you today is, please realize that the absolute most important thing that we can teach our children is that they have to love themselves unconditionally, undeservingly, and know that the only truths in this world come from our heart, not from our brain, because our brain is truly looking at the negative first. And part of the reason why I wanted to come to South Carolina was I had a new RV trailer, and I wanted to come to South Carolina, and I wanted to put amends to all the negative vibrations that I'd felt in my life from people that were here. And I wanted to see the beauty in South Carolina that I had never seen before. And you know what? This is a mighty beautiful state, mighty beautiful beach. I mean, granted, everywhere in the United States I've traveled to now, I'm seeing a reoccurring pattern, and I'm not judging, I'm just recognizing that there is so little love that's being shared amongst each other, and especially for ourselves, and that's sad. But anyway, before I finish this, I'm going to pan around and let you guys see Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, on a gorgeous day. And please, remember, the only truths in this world come from your heart, you being one with your God, listening to your God within you. And it doesn't come from our brain, because our brain is always trying to protect us, looking at the negative first and obsessing on the negative, which keeps us away from our truths. Anyways, once I've panned around and showed you this, I'm going to shut it off, but I love you guys and have a great day. And that is Ashley there. Take care.